As we roll on and continue our Buckeye road trip around the NFL, we have talked about Harris Campbell, Tyquan Lewis, Pete Werner, and today it's about another New Orleans Saints that Buckeye to the Bayou pipeline is not cut just yet. It is all about Michael Thomas today, and Ross Jackson from Locked On Saints is back with us to talk about a wide receiver that many of you love. Ross, you're back. Michael Thomas is back. That's a great combination.
Oh, I love hearing that. I love being in that same conversation because I got to tell you, the New Orleans Saints could not be more excited to have Michael Thomas back coming into 2022. That is the expectation. Saints fans cannot be more excited. I'm sure Buckeyes fans are very excited to see him back on an NFL field as well.
Being back on an NFL field, being back on a football field. I don't care if it's Little League or the NFL. Being
Put him in
back
the
on a football
USFL, see what
field,
happens.
man, I mean, he's going to kill it. Put him back on the football field is amazing. And the fact that he is back and he's excited, not just because he's teaming up with a Buckeye, he also has Jarvis Landry over there. Y'all are doing something weird down there in that lab down there in the Bayou, and I want some of that to trickle up north to the Indianapolis Colts. That's a conversation literally for another day. But Michael Thomas is back. Can you give us an injury update with him? I understand he had ankle surgery in 2021.
Yes, he did. He had ankle surgery in 2021. He had ankle surgery before, that was scheduled kind of before that. There was a whole kind of maybe miscommunication, maybe some balls dropped, whatever it was, that ended up delaying that over the course of the offseason. It ended up putting him on ice for the beginning of the season, and then come to find out by the time, it was actually the exact same week that Jameis Winston suffered the torn ACL and learned that he was going to be out for the season. The Saints also learned, Michael Thomas ain't going to be ready for the season either. So that was a rough week coming out of Halloween of all weeks for the New Orleans Saints. But after that, he's been, rigorous in terms of his rehab, his training, coming back, everything. Dennis Allen has spoken with him. Dennis Allen flew out to California where he's doing most of his rehabilitation to talk with him. Dennis Allen, now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints after Sean Payton stepped away for at least this year. And it seems that everything's on track. And Dennis Allen will tell you he has some hurdles to clear before he can get out on the field, but there's no reason to believe that those aren't the usual hurdles, right? Getting out there and doing some physical activity, being a part of 7-on-7s, being a part of team drills, getting some contact, all those things. So should be the usual hurdles that one must clear coming back from an injury during the off season. Nothing super substantial. So the Saints are expecting to have him back in 2022. He's clearly ready and excited to be back in 2022. He's been working with Chris Olave. They just spent 10 days together out on the West Coast working together and everything. And so, he's ready to be back out there, and all the fans are ready to see him as well.
Michael Thomas is back. He has a new quarterback, has a new head coach. How does that affect him getting back on the field and being implemented into the Saints offense?
It could potentially get him back to that 2016, 2017 usage where he was a threat at all three levels, as opposed to just being that short and intermediate threat. I mean, you look at his route distribution, around 20 to 30% of his routes are kind of really more than that, around 50% of his routes are these in-breaking short to intermediate area routes or out routes. They love running out routes with him as well. He's one of the best in the league when it comes to that. So a lot of that has been short intermediate area between, let's say, I don't know, the line of scrimmage up to maybe like 10, 15 yards. So now you kind of wonder, all right, Jameis Winston's got the big arm. Dennis Allen, Pete Carmichael, they want to be able to throw the ball clearly, considering this receiving core that they put together and in how well they want to be able to focus in the run game to help set up the passing game. Are we going to see him threaten downfield a little bit more? Now, he's not the, fastest guy in the world, but he's a natural separator. He understands how to restack and win in terms of leverage, so he can get himself in position against those players. And the thing that's really great about that as well is that if he starts to challenge into the third level, then all of a sudden he's running those types of clear outs that are pulling safeties out of the way and opening up the field for guys like Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry. So it all kind of works in symbiosis. Even when he's not getting the ball, if he's a threat at that third level, then all of a sudden it opens up that New Orleans Saints passing game even more on that side of the field. And I think you will also expect to continue to see him take around 25 to 30% of his snaps from the slot. Jarvis Landry can move outside. Chris Olave can move inside, play outside. The versatility of this receiving core with those three guys, and especially with Michael Thomas back, who's going to draw the attention of those linebackers in the hole, who's going to pull those safeties down when he's running in the intermediate area. It's huge for what the New Orleans Saints are looking to bring back to the passing game in 2022.
Michael Thomas was one of those players that's always been a fan favorite. Doesn't matter if it's Ohio State or New Orleans. Mm-hmm. His work ethic, his ability to get open, and you mentioned him being able to get open in all three levels, in all facets of an offensive passing tree. He can get open there. He is one of those guys. He's going to complement, I hope he complements very well Jarvis Landry and Chris Olave. How do you think, I told you I'm going to try and tie this in some point, and here it is. How do you think that Olave and Thomas can help each other be the best they can be, in that Chris Olave can potentially win NFL Rookie Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, so I would say one of the biggest sort of concepts or common concepts the Saints use in the passing game is called a Mills concept. Okay. So what that is two receivers on the same side of the field, one on the outside, one on the inside. The one on the inside runs maybe like a 12 to 15 yard in route. So that's just pushing up field and then basically just 90 degrees going toward the middle of the field on the break. And then the one over the top will usually run something like a 15 to 17 yard break on a post route. So he's coming diagonally infield, but upfield as well, kind of running toward the goalpost. So what that does is that it puts a lot of pressure on the safety and turns the safety into what's called a conflict defender, meaning that safety's got to make a decision. Am I going to take away what's coming over the top, or am I going to focus down on maybe what I'm seeing first, which is the in-breaking route down at 12 to 15 yards toward the center of the field? The way that these two guys complement each other is that Chris Olave has the speed to immediately separate off the line of scrimmage and even at the break because of how well he rotates, dips his hips, and then explodes out of breaks. Him running that post route, he's going to see a lot of action on that route and a lot of action in that concept coming from there. If Michael Thomas is on the inside, like I said, 25 to 30% of his snaps are going to come from the slot. So if he's in the inside and he's making that in-breaking route, safeties are going to pull down to him because that's Michael Thomas. And that's the guy that coach told me I have to key in on. So if that safety pulls down and Chris Olave wins his one-on-one on the outside, or what turns into a one-on-one on the outside, whether it's at the line of scrimmage or at the break, then all of a sudden you're able to take the top off. If the safety makes what is actually the wiser decision and says, I have to protect the deep ball here, then all of a sudden you've got Michael Thomas streaking across the field. And then, oh, by the way, Jarvis Landry's running, cutting through the middle of the field on a drag route, and Alvin Kamara's coming out into the flats as well. While everybody's occupied with what's going on with the receivers, you can get to Alvin Kamara in space if the safeties do a good job taking away all the options up top. So that's the way that I think that those two guys immediately impact one another, and then the way that the ripple effect hits the rest of the players on offense.
Okay, y'all, we hear all about NIL being used illegally in college football. What he just described is illegal. Y'all cannot have all those weapons on the field at one time. That's stuff you see in Madden or in NCAA football, the new video games coming out. You guys are doing illegal stuff in the National Football League, man. Roger's coming after y'all.
Hey, as long as it's not saving. As long as it's not saving coming by and talking trash, because he'll get put in his place real quick. Then it sound like they play no games.
Then you're going to have an emergency press conference. The coach is going to be 10 minutes late and then call his former coach, former boss, a narcissist. I mean, this is the world we live in.
Sean might show up.
And give him my job back.
You don't want that, Nick. You don't want that, Nick. You don't want that smoke.
We're out of here. Ross and I have way too much fun, if that's even possible. If you could, Ross, let everyone know once again where they can follow you on Twitter, and then check out your stuff at Locked On Saints and the Saints Wire.
Absolutely. At Ross Jackson Nola on Twitter, Locked On Saints podcast, just like the Locked On Buckeyes podcast, every Monday through Friday, covering, of course, the New Orleans Saints, but also some of your favorite Buckeyes at the next level. Doing the same over at Saints Wire, saintswire.usatoday.com. If you're into the written word, you can check all that out over there as well.
This will not be the final time you hear Ross or see Ross if you're on YouTube here on the podcast. I've already talked to him about some other players that are in the Bayou, New Orleans Saints players that we will discuss here as we continue our Buckeye road trip around the NFL. Ross, thank you once again for coming back.
Always a pleasure, homie. Looking forward to being back with you.